Hey guys, Dakota from Cantrips TCG. So today we're going to be doing a Magic the Gathering Legacy deck profile. Um, oh my gosh, so we haven't done any Legacy deck profiles on the channel yet, so this will be a first. We did some playtesting videos of Rug versus Burn, but unfortunately today this is not going to be a Rug deck profile. I've played Rug since my introduction to Legacy. I borrowed my friend's deck, and I just really liked the play style of the original Rug Delver. So I played that for a long time, and then I moved away that I couldn't afford it myself. So then I played Merfolk. But yeah, so then when I was finally able to save money, I bought into Rug, and I've been playing that pretty much ever since. I played a little bit of Bug, but yeah, so as you guys know, there's been some pretty big Magic the Gathering bannings recently, and I don't think Rug is dead at all, and I'm working on a list for that, but I wanted to try Grixis as my first Delver deck for the Legacy format. So I guess we'll just get into the deck profile. But yeah, so we're going to get started with Legacy Grixis Delver. So, of course, we're going to do 4 Delver of Secrets. Best blue 1-drop creature in the format. Does it look good up there?
Yeah, just okay. Move a little higher.
So yeah, Delver of Secrets. This is a very introduction channel, I think. So I'm just going to go over all the effects just in case somebody doesn't know. So it's a 1-mana, 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's instant or sorcery, it flips into a 3/2 flyer. So, half the deck is instants and sorcery, so a blind flip has 50% chance of happening, and then you have a lot of other ways to make it flip without chance. But very good. Probably our best 1-drop in the deck, I would say. You want to have this. It allows you to be very aggressive from the start. It has flying, so it's hard to block. And yeah, it's a very powerful card. I mean, I don't think they'll ban this card, but it is if you're playing blue, usually you're playing either Delver or some sort of control deck. So, but yeah, so next up we got 3 Young Pyromancer. So 2-mana, 1 red, 1 colorless, 2/1. Whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, put a 1/1 elemental creature token onto the battlefield. So similar to this, both these cards work great with instants and sorceries, which is most of our deck. While Young Pyromancer isn't big or evasive like Delver, it does generate a lot of advantage. It can allow us to chump block with the tokens, while our Delvers flying in the air can win races and stuff. Also, it's really good against control decks, because if you play this and they don't counter it, you get priority again, and then you can cast a Ponder or something, or a sorcery, get your token, and then they try to kill it, and then you still you 2-for-1 them, because they still have to deal with the 1/1. So really good against mid-range and control decks. Kind of bad against board wipes and spells that do -1/-1 or 1 damage to each creature, because all of them will die. Not very good against combo decks. It's not the fastest way to win the game. It can snowball pretty fast, so if you go turn 2 Pyromancer, turn 3 it's pretty likely you can play 2 spells, or maybe even on the turn you play this, you counter one of their things with a free counter spell, and then you start getting some tokens, and then you start swinging for 3, 4, 5. So it can snowball pretty fast, but it's not the fastest way to attack. Next up, we got 2 Gurmag Angler. So this has no additional effect. It's just pretty much a beater. 7-mana, 5/5. You can exile cards from your graveyard to pay the delve cost. So it's usually a 1-mana, 5/5. Which is great. It doesn't die to a lot of things. You can't Fatal Push it. You can't Lightning Bolt it. It only dies Swords to Plowshares. You can't Abrupt Decay it. So it dodges a lot of the removal in the format, and usually it's bigger than Tarmogoyf. And you can also delve away certain things, which would make Tarmogoyf smaller. So one of the best creatures in the format, just a beater. You don't want to play too many of them because, like, if you draw too many, like, you can't. It's hard to play more than one in a normal game. In a drawn-out game, your graveyard should fill up with spells quickly enough to where you can play a second one. But if you do draw a second one, you can like brainstorm it away or something. Last couple of creatures, we got one True Name Nemesis. So 3 mana, 3/1. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a player, and it has protection from the player, so they can't like kill it. The only way to stop this is to counter it. It does die to like Plague Engineer, giving -1/-1 to a creature type of their choice, so it can die to that. It dies to like Liliana, sack effects, or edict effects. Dies to board wipes, but other than that, very hard to stop. And even if they do have an answer for it, sometimes you can counter that answer, and then you're like, it's very hard to deal with. Similar to Young Pyromancer, it's not good against control. It's not good against combo decks because it takes too long to like kill them with it, and it comes down on turn 3, which is a little slow. But against control and mid-range decks, it stops creature decks in its tracks if they don't have removal for it, because it just blocks forever, or they can't block it if you're already winning the race. Against control decks, it's very hard for them to answer this. So we don't want to play too many just because it's a lot of mana, and we're very like, our curve for spells is very low. So this is kind of like our high-end threat. And then our last card for creatures is Brazen Borrower. 3 mana, 3/1, flash flying. And it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying, or can only block creatures with flying. So it can't block like tokens, which you probably wouldn't do that. You're just going to start attacking with it in the air. Next part of this though is the adventure part. You can pay 2 mana and bounce a target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and then this goes on an adventure, and then you can play it for its regular cost later. So this helps answer like certain permanents that our deck can't answer in the first place. Grixis has a problem with like enchantments. Once an enchantment is on the battlefield, it's very difficult to get rid of it. You can only... We have ways to get rid of artifacts, but we don't have ways to get rid of enchantments in our colors except by countering them. This gives us a chance to bounce it and then re-counter it on the way back down. So, also gets rid of like Merit Liege tokens, which are like 20/20 indestructible flying, and we can't like ever deal with that. So that's always fun. But yeah, that's it for creatures. Just 11, very small creature count. We have ways to dig for our creatures, and we're going to talk about those right now. So we don't need to play too many of them. I'm also expecting combo to be a very popular archetype in this new format, because the control deck just got like destroyed, and the other Delver deck kind of got hit pretty bad. So I think combo decks are going to be pretty popular at the beginning. Next up, first up for blue cantripping drawing spells, we have Ponder. 1 mana, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, rearrange them in any order, and then you may shuffle your library and then draw a card. So pretty good. If you're looking for something, you can use this to look at top 3. If it's not there, you can shuffle and try to get a random one. You can also use this to set up Delver, which is really nice. This is also really good with fetch lands, because you can like rearrange it, draw a card, and then next turn draw like a second one, and then fetch away and shuffle the rest away. Or you can even just take one and then fetch and then shuffle the rest away. So very versatile card. Great with Young Pyromancer, makes tokens, and like I said before, great with Delver. Okay. Next up, we got Brainstorm. Brainstorm is the best like blue spell in Legacy. 1 mana, draw 3 cards, put 2 from your hand back on top of your deck in any order. This is great for getting rid of dead cards in certain matchups. It's great if you draw too many lands. You can draw 3 new spells, put extra lands back, and then shuffle away. This is only really good if you have a shuffle effect. It's very mediocre if you draw 3 and put 2 back, and you're not able to do anything else with those cards. Next up, we have 2 Preordained. This is our last cantrip spell for the deck. It's 1 blue mana, scry 2, and then draw a card. This doesn't really work that well with Delver from my testing, but it's really good with Young Pyromancer as a way to find more spells to get more tokens with Young Pyromancer. Not as good as Brainstorm or Ponder, which is why we're only playing 2, and we don't have a lot of space for extras. Alright, now on to counter spells. We have 4 Stifle. With the banning of Arkham's Astrolabe, people have to start playing dual lands again, which makes Wasteland better. And that also means we can start stifling people's fetch lands and trying to attack people's mana base a lot more aggressively. So 1 blue mana, counter target activated or triggered ability. This is pretty much there for hitting countering fetch land activations, but there's a ton of other activated abilities that you can counter to buy yourself time, and possibly, like, you know, win the game with just it's like, I'm not gonna say it's like a broken card, but it's definitely a very versatile card. Alright, next up for counter spells, we have 4 Days. This is a free counter spell to deck. 2 mana, counter a target spell unless your opponent pays an extra 1. You can play the alternate cost by bouncing an island back to your hand. This allows you to get lands back to shuffle back with Brainstorm, so it can keep you on a low land count, so you're constantly drawing spells. Also prevents your opponent from tapping out and playing a spell. But yeah, Days is pretty good. Next up, we got Force of Will. Pretty standard Legacy deck card. It's either blue decks or non-blue decks. Force of Will is 5 mana, counter target spell, or you may pay the alternate cost of discarding or exiling a blue card from your hand and paying 1 life to counter any spell. So again, it allows you to tap out for Young Pyromancer on turn 2, leave up free Countermagic, so you don't just die. Next up, we got 2 Force of Negation. Similar to Force of Will, it's a 3 mana counter target non-creature spell, and it has the same alternate cost of you can exile a blue card in your hand to play it for free. So we have 10 free counter spells in the deck, 6 of which can be used on turn 0. So if our opponent goes first and they try to win the game, we have 6 ways to prevent ourselves from dying before we even play a land. Force of Negation also exiles the non-creature spell that you counter with this, so it can hit like Life from the Loam that like keeps coming back. So hitting that from like a lands player, that feels really bad for them. Can also keep Tarmogoyf a little smaller if you like hit their sorcery or something. So yeah, I don't know. Force of Negation is pretty cool. It gets us more free counters. I think it's a great card. That's it for counter spells. So that's like, this is kind of a counter spell. So 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. But yeah, so that's pretty sweet. Next up, we got our removal spells. We got 4 Lightning Bolt. 1 red, deal 3 damage to target creature, player, or target. The best removal spell, I think, because it's never like dead. If it can't kill anything of your opponent, it can go at your opponent's face, and then you can keep attacking with Delvers, and you can win that way. Whereas like the next one I'm going to talk about, if they don't have like a creature to kill, then like you just kind of sit on it. But yeah, we got 2 Dismember. So for 1 colorless and 2 Phyrexian black, target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. -5, yeah. Sorry about the noise, guys. But yeah, so you can either play this for 1 colorless mana and pay 4 life, or you can pay 2 like a black and a colorless and 2 life, or you can pay a colorless and 2 black.
I'm actually not sure about that.
It does kill like Gurmag Anglers and like bigger targets that Bolt can't kill, which is the main reason that we're playing this card. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for spells. We got 6 removal spells. We don't need to play a lot of them because we have a lot of ways to find them. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for spells. How many spells is that? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 30. So 30 spells. Alright, so on to our lands. We have 4 Polluted Delta and 4 Misty Rainforest. These are fetch lands. You pay 1 life and search your deck for basically an island or the other color on there. So island or swamp or island or forest. All of our fetchable lands are islands, so we can grab any color from any land. We have 4 Underground Sea, which is taps for blue or black, so we can get this off any of our fetches. And then 3 Volcanic Islands. Same thing, blue or red. We are playing 1 more Underground Sea just because of the dismember cost, and some of our sideboard is also heavy black, I think. So that's why we're playing 1 more of this. And then we're playing 4 Wasteland. You can tap it for colorless, or you can sacrifice it and destroy target non-basic land.
What are those collection boosters?
So this combined with Stifle just destroys our opponent's mana bases. You basically wasteland their dual lands and stifle their fetch lands, and they have no mana, which makes days a lot better. Yeah, very, very scary to play against. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. I guess we'll get into the side deck now. So we have 2 Pyroblast and 1 Red Elemental Blast. Both of these counter or destroy a blue permanent. The difference is you can play this and target something that's not blue, and if you just need to, like Pyromancer, get a token or something, that's pretty much the only difference. I split it because Pyroblast is better, but I split it just in case like somebody names it off like Meddling Mage, or they name it off like Cabal Therapy or something like that. But yeah, you can like Pyroblast a land. Yeah, so like you can target a permanent, and if it's not blue, like nothing happens, but you still can cast a spell, which would make a token. Whereas this one, it destroys a blue card. Whereas this one says destroy target permanent if it's blue, so you can target non-blue things. So that's our like anti blue stuff. It's good against the control decks, the Delver decks, pretty much half a legacy, so you bring these in a lot. Next up we have Graveyard Hate, 2 Searchable Extraction, 1 black Phyrexian mana. So we can play this for free if we have to. So again, if we're going second, and we haven't played a spell this turn yet, we can use this by paying 2 life. But you choose a target card in a graveyard. Other than a basic land, search its owner's library, hand, and graveyard for any number of cards with the same name as that card, and exile them, and then they shuffle their library. So this is used against like Uro, because Uro did not get banned yet, so you can target their Uro, and you search their deck and hit all their Uros, and then you don't have to deal with it for the rest of the game. Our last Graveyard Hate card is Cling to Dust, 1 black mana. Exile a card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, you gain 3 life, otherwise you draw a card. And you can escape for 4 mana, exiling 5 other cards from your graveyard. Again, it's mostly an answer for Uro. And then, yeah, so 3 Graveyard Hate spells. Next up, we have 2 Plague Engineer, 3 mana, Death Touch, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and creature type of, creatures of that type that your opponents control get -1/-1. So against Merfolk, Goblins, Elves, this is a way to kill True Name Nemesis. You can kill Brazen Borrower. It's basically a removal spell. It's also really good against Death and Taxes because you can play it, kill their X1, and then it can block something else and trade for that. So usually it's a 2-for-1 when you play it. So very good. It's more removal, but it's also a creature. Next up is our mid-range package. The rest of the cards are all 1-ofs, but this is our mid-range package. I got 1 Liliana Last Hope and 1 Baleful Strix. So Baleful Strix is a 2-mana flying Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So you can pitch the Force of Will if you have to. It draws a card, and it's a 1/1 Death Touch. So if it blocks something and trades with something like a Tarmogoyf or a Delver, then you still have the 1 card left over that you drew from it. And then we have Liliana Last Hope, 3 mana, 3 loyalty, +1. You can give a creature -2/-1. So again, it can kill 1 toughness things like opposing pyromancers, 1/1 tokens, stuff like that. -2, you mill 2 cards from your library into your graveyard, and then you can return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this basically can get back any of our creatures that have died. It gets back Baleful Strix, which allows us to draw even more cards. So that's why it's our like mid-range package. Very hard for the control decks to deal with this. Also, the ultimate -7, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step. You put X 2/2 zombie creature tokens on the battlefield, where X is 2+ the number of zombies you control. So against control, you keep making like 2, 4, 8 zombies, and it's very hard for them to deal with that. Yeah. Last couple cards, we got Court of Cunning. This is like another control card, similar to like Liliana Last Hope. 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put any number of target players each mill 2 cards. If you're the monarch, each of those players mill 10 cards. So basically, by the time you play this, your opponent has less than 50 cards left in their deck, and you just need to wait 5 turns, and they'll mill through their entire deck. Even if you wait 4 turns, that's still 50 cards out of their deck. They're down to less than 10, so you just wait a couple more turns, and then they're just dead. Spell Pierce, 1 mana, counter target non-creature spell unless it's controller phase 2, similar to Daze, where you try to tax their mana with like Stifle, Wasteland. This gets a lot better. It's good against combo decks, good against like the weird decks with like artifacts and enchantments. Not good against creature decks, of course, but it's a very universal card and comes in a lot of matchups. All right, last couple cards. We got an Abrade, 2 mana, choose 1, deal 3 damage to target creature. Or destroy an artifact. So another piece of removal it's worse than Lightning Bolt, of course, because they both deal 3 damage. And it is 2 mana, and that's 1. But it can also destroy artifacts, so it's very like versatile card. And we don't really have ways to get rid of artifacts other than countering them. Brazen Burrow can also bounce. Second to last card is Blue Elemental Blast, 1 blue mana, counters a red spell being cast or destroys a red card in play. This is basically for burn. It basically can counter any burn spell or destroy any red creature. So we're not very good against burn, I would say. We do have counter spells, and we could pay the black for Dismember, but I think we're a little bit too slow to beat burn consistently, but we'll have to test it. Cling to Dust can exile a creature card and gains 3 life, but burn's probably not a great matchup, which is why I have this. And our last card is a Pithing Needle, 1 mana artifact. As it enters play, name a card. Activated abilities of the named card cannot be played unless they're mana abilities. So this is just like a catch-all. You can name planeswalkers with this. You can name artifacts with this. Any enchantments like an act ability. But yeah, it's like probably the most cuttable card, but it's just there as like a very versatile answer for things. But yeah, this is going to be the first test run of Grixis Delver. We'll be doing some matchups with this. We'll probably be testing it against humans and against Burn, because that's what like my brother has right now. So against Burn, it's going to be pretty tough. Humans is also going to be an interesting matchup, I think. We have a good amount of removal, but I think that'll be a close match. But yeah, I just wanted to start putting out some legacy videos for you guys. I will have a Rug Delver deck profile up soon as well, and we might even go into Bug Delver too, because I have all the cards for them. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything about the deck, please feel free to comment below. And yeah, thank you very much. If you like the video or like the content, please like, subscribe, and leave comments.